From my journey as an entrepreneur, the best deals are done through networks. Sometimes it's not what you know or study in school. People say entrepreneurs are born. Some say that entrepreneurs emerge, and some say that entrepreneurs become as a matter of necessity for survival. But in all of that, I see entrepreneurship as an issue of connection. Connecting for solving a society's problem, connecting for making profit, and connecting for impacting society. So yes, of course, this is one of the many ways of reaching out to entrepreneurs. Through this, you'll be surprised the number of deals that people will make. Life and business is all about network. It's all about who is in your network, it's about who you know, and it's about who believes in what you have. First of all, thank you Metro TV for being a strategic partner for growing businesses in Ghana and also Africa, because I understand you are a global network on DSTV.
In our Diner Space, a fast-growing business hub known for its serene and affordable environment, hosted a vibrant networking meeting aimed at fostering business growth, sharing ideas, and promoting its dynamic event center. There is more in this report. The event brought together entrepreneurs, business executives, and industry professionals to engage, collaborate, and explore opportunities for growth. Speaking at the event, Abraham Wawi emphasized the role Diner Space plays in providing essential facilities such as office spaces, meeting rooms, an event center, and a connect zone, all tailored to promote and enhance businesses.
Real estate in business is quite expensive. You know, entrepreneurs looking for office space is quite expensive. So what we've done is to be able to get a space and provide for all these people. So if you need a space for an hour, if you need a space for a day, a space for a month, we're able to give you that space. If you need an office space, or you want to work on a desk, or you need a conference room, we can provide that for you. So we have huge flexibility, and obviously our pricing is also very competitive.
Guest speaker, Pastor William Boxon, applauded the vision behind Diner Space, describing it as a place for business growth and opportunity. He encouraged business owners, startups, and professionals seeking expansion to make Diner Space their preferred destination.
A lot of bottlenecks for young entrepreneurs. One of them is space. Usually it's quite expensive trying to secure a space for business, and so Diner Space brings the flexibility that will help every young entrepreneur be able to work from a quality space at a fraction of the price. You know, so here you are, you have a space that has all the amenities, all the facilities, but you're not paying for all of that. You're paying for what you're using. And so that for me is a breakthrough.
The evening was facilitated by Mame Sewa Mwakohine, who also shared insights with Metro Business.
So this is Connections. It's the relationship card game. I was the facilitator of the networking session here at Diner Space. And what Connection does, this is a game that I created. It facilitates getting to know people on a much quicker, deeper level. Most of the time you go to network events and you're like, how do I talk to somebody? What do I say? Connections allows you to be able to have interactions in a fun way. And being able to participate here in Diner Space, and since Diner Space is all about networking, that's what we happen.
Diner Space is extending an open invitation to businesses and individuals to experience its extra beautiful event center, highlighting its commitment to making business endeavors successful and connections inevitable. And now the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has officially begins issuing chip-embedded passports effective today, April 28th. The chip-embedded passports, a security-enhanced document that meets international standards, promises a smoother application process. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto-Blakwa, visited the passport office and led the passport office to issue some of the first chip-embedded passports. We're yet to speak to my colleague Ethel on the ground to find out what is really going on. Ethel, can you hear me?
Dominic, can you hear me?
Right. Can you report what is actually happening? Have they started?
Yeah, so right now it's currently ongoing at the head office of the passport office at Rich. We've heard the Minister of Foreign Affairs speak. The Minister of Communication has also spoken.
Right.
And in the speech of the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, he outlined some of the security features that are in the passport. According to him, there are over 175 security features, some that can be seen by the eye and some that only the immigration service that will be able to see it when it's run through their system. Right. Also, he mentioned that the ministry will be collaborating with Ghana Post so that the newly embedded chips will be delivered within 15 days. And so, yeah, the ordinary passports will be available after 15 days of application, and those that pay extra will be delivered within 5 days. He also mentioned that there will be no delivery by proxy, so your passports will be given to you directly, unless in rare situations of maybe illness, that's when your passport will be delivered to you by proxy. And so, yeah, we are still at the event, and we have the Minister of Communication here, Sam George, who also has spoken about the willingness of his ministry to partner with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to make the distribution process seamless. Also, Ghana Post will be doing this delivery, as I stated earlier, but then they will be doing the delivery in 9 regions out of the 16 regions.
Right. So, Ethel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of capacity, how many people have gathered there so far?
It's a lot. We've seen celebrities. I have seen Lydia Force, and I have seen people from the clergy. I can speak. I've seen Reverend Dr. Lawrence Tete. I've seen people from other foreign ministries. I can speak for the Hungarian government has been represented here. We have people from the immigration service also here. So basically, all stakeholders needed for this switch to happen are duly represented. Let me also add that even though there has been a switch from the biometric to the chip-embedded passport, the minister says those who have the biometric passports can use it till 2030. However, if you have the biometric passport and you are looking to join the modern side, as he said, if you are looking to join the modern side, you are allowed to switch to the chip embedded side. So even though you have biometric passport, you can always switch to the biometric passport. But if you want to hold on to the biometric passport, then you can hold on to the biometric passport until 2030.
Right. So, I mean, before you jump off, at what time are they closing the session?
I can't tell offhand because the Minister of Foreign Affairs in his speech said that those who have been able to attend the event will have the opportunity, will have first dibs of the chip-embedded passport. So it's going to be a whole process. Those who are here and want to be part of the chip-embedded passport will be allowed to go through the process. And he has promised that they will get their passport today. And so it's going to be a long process after the speeches. But then let me also add that the minister also mentioned that even though the issuing of the chip-embedded passport starts today, President John Dramani Mahama already has been presented with his chip-embedded passport. Former President Nana Akufo-Addo, President Nana Akufo-Addo has also been presented with his chip-embedded passport. Later in the day, former President John Kufuor will also be taken through the process, and his chip-embedded passport will be presented to him. So if you ask me when the program will end, I can't tell offhand because there are other people here who are willing to take first dibs of the chip-embedded passports.
Well, thank you very much, Ethel. Progress is really going on. We'll look to see how this will turn out. But then let's do some other stories. Felix Kwachionfoso, Minister for Government Communications, President John Mahama is set to launch a Jumara Ghana Medical Trust Fund and the National Apprenticeship Program. A Jumara, which will be launched today, April 28, 2025, is an initiative which targets young business owners. Ghana Medical Trust Fund will be launched on Tuesday, 29th April 2025, and is aimed at helping chronic diseases. The National Apprenticeship Program was launched on Wednesday, 30th April, with a goal of training and equipping tens of thousands of youth with relevant skills. Well, my colleague Shadrach Odami Ejari is currently at where the launch is going on, and we would like to interact with him to find out how things are going so far. Shadrach, you're live. Shadrach. Shadrach, can you hear me? So, as said, communications spokesperson Felix Ofosu-Kwakye said President Mahama is launching the Jumara Ghana Medical Trust Fund and National Apprenticeship Program. This for business owners, aiming that business will thrive in this economy and the Ghanaian economy will have stability and also sustainability. We are trying to get our colleague Shadrach Odami Ejari on the field to interact with him to see how the launch has taken shape so far, and also, government officials and a couple of people that have situated themselves there to see how possible best this will go. Shadrach, are you there? Right, that's fine. We'll take a short turn. We'll be right back with more.
Fire pomudi ni agubio Ghana fueni age efri say ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice
me de go me jollof mu ni mi sti wa hodoma e ma ne dance
Stanley, the barbecue they go on.
sankofa natural spice and one you use 100% natural.
Adofo, mamunye huge mistake. Sankofa natural spices. The
FDA ejedi nkratu yatu.
Connected to DSTV this April and May and get all the football finals you want.
Whether you're a wholesaler, retailer, or consumer, MNC Logistics and Trading is your trusted partner in minerals and food commodities trading. Experience the difference with MNC Logistics and Trading for your commodities trading. We operate a well-equipped laboratory that smelts and assays gold to ensure transparent, credible, and reliable minerals transactions. Our general food commodity market deals with imports and exports of food products such as rice, sugar, and grains. We pride ourselves on delivering products that meet the highest standards of quality and taste. With our expertise in international trading and logistics, we bridge customers far and wide. Locate us at number 4 Neosai Interfo Avenue, East Legon, Accra. Call us on 030-299-8246 or visit our website www.mnclogisticsandtrading.com. MNC Logistics and Trading, hub of confidence.
Well, many thanks for staying with us. Now we're going straight to, well, the MPP party is saying the flag bearer of the new patriotic party and former vice president under the Estuala Akufo-Addo government, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has identified, among other things, the arrogance of power, the rising cost of living, the failure to reorganize government leadership, the unpopular e-levy and domestic debt exchange program introduced during the economic crisis as reasons for MPP's electoral loss. During his thank you tour in Takoradi on April 26th, he further noted that these challenges, combined with the pressures of the IMF debt restructuring program, left many Ghanaians delusioned and struggling. Here are some excerpts from his two-day Western Regional tour. Now from there, we'll pan to Annie Ifwampofo for the rest of the show.
And I have recognized this, and for some time now, I have been supportive of the salaries of a few of the women who are here, and I will continue to be supportive of you and even go further in that regard. I also want to amend, I also want to thank my running mate and my campaign team for their full support. They've done very, very well across this campaign. The fact is, we worked very hard. We tried to get everybody involved. As you know, the General Secretary was the Director of Operations for the campaign. The Women's Organizer organized the women. The Youth Organizer organized the youth. The Nasara Coordinator handled the Zongo, and so on. So we tried to do as much as we could. Notwithstanding our hard work, however, we still suffered a heavy defeat. And when you look at what happened, you see that it was internal. Many of our supporters did not come out to vote. This is really fundamentally why we lost the election. If you look at 2020 vis-a-vis 2024, 2.1 million of our supporters didn't come out to vote. 2.1 million. And you look at John Mohammed's votes, his votes went up by maybe 115,000. So he increased by 115,000 and we went down by 2.1 million. And that is basically why we did not win. So the key to victory going forward is within the MPP. It is within ourselves, because we decided not to vote. So if we decide to vote, we would win. So the key is ourselves. It is ourselves. So that is what we have to understand and take going forward. When we finished the election, there were so many people who were giving different reasons for why we lost. So many different reasons. But people were speaking without data. And you know you can only speak forcefully with data. When you look at the reasons people were offering, one of the reasons people offered was that they said that they didn't vote for us because our presidential candidate was Muslim. Have you not heard that? Didn't you hear that? When I heard that, I said, this doesn't make sense. This is not the Ghana that I know. Because if you look at it, we went for primaries. We had 10 contestants. I was 1 Muslim, 9 Christians. But the MPP voted for the Muslim presidential candidate. So that could not be the case. So I decided to do some data analysis to test this hypothesis. And when you look at the data is very clear. In many constituencies across the country, the MPP presidential candidate performed better than the Christian parliamentary candidate. In many constituencies across. So it couldn't be, if they were voting because of religion, I shouldn't be performing better than the Christian parliamentary candidates. Even my good friend, Tim Fodio, who is giving a lot of heat to the government at the moment in Thailand. Tim Fodio is a reverend father in Tim Fodio, as in South. But I did better than him in his constituency. So he did so well. I mean, he did and mobilized the votes for me, and I thank him very much. But if you look at all across the country, the fact is that there was no religious factor in the voting. It is only propaganda. There is no religious factor. And in fact, we sought to see so many different institutions undertook research and undertook studies to answer the question. You had our MPs, you had Konrad Adenauer, you had Global Info Analytics, you had different institutions. But when you look at it all, they all came to the conclusion that it wasn't an issue of religion, it is not an issue of tribe. Those two issues have been ruled out in all the findings from different surveys that have been done. So as a party, I'm very, very happy that, and as a country, I'm very, very happy that religion and tribe has not entered our political discourse. We should not therefore allow people to come in to play propaganda with religion and tribe. We are one nation. We will all go together and we will move, whether we are Muslims or Christians, we will all work together for the good of this country. And that is how we should try to get everybody going forward. I am very, very happy that Professor Michael Quay and his Elections Review Committee have submitted their report. We've waited for this report for a long time. And they delivered the report on time. And I must say that I am very happy with the Okwe report. It has put to bed a lot of the propaganda that was going around about exactly why we lost the election. And I'm very happy about that. What is important also is that they have made some very important recommendations for this party. And those recommendations have been forwarded to a constitutional review committee to then look at it and bring it back to NEC and National Council for us to then make certain changes. You can expect, without any doubt, that the delegate system is going to be changed. That we will change the current delegate system and allow more people to vote. And that give more rights to more people to come in and be part of the electoral college. And so that those are things that we believe will happen, but we will wait peacefully for the committee to come back with its report. We will not try to preempt it, and once they come back with the report, we'll give the National Council the opportunity to get this sent to the National Conference for the decisions to be taken to amend the Constitution. So we are in a rebuilding stage for this party. What is important for all of us is that we have to be united. If we are united, we are going to win 2028. If we are not united, we will have a challenge. So unity is very important. And because I want us to be united, this is why I am departing from the normal thank you tour that we have held. Normally, whether it's Edugwani, whether it's Kufuor, whether it's Akufo-Addo, the presidential candidate has just basically gone ahead and done a thank you tour. We are doing it differently this time because I want unity. And that is why I've said that I want to go with the party and also to invite my former contestants, the aspirants who contested me for the primaries, they should come and we'll all go and do the thank you for the country, so that we all show a united front for the party, so that we can build on it going forward. So that is my sense of what we are going to do. I want to thank all of you. Remember, unity is the key. It's not time for primaries, and it is not about winning a primary. What we are doing is building a party machinery that can win the general election. That is what we should be doing. Building a party machinery to win the general election, not to win a primary. If you win a primary and you cannot win the general election, then it is a useless victory. It is a useless victory. It is a Pyrrhic victory. So let us build a machinery to make the party strong so that we can win the general election. And that is what we should be looking at as a party. We can only do that if we unite. Because united we will stand, divided we will fall. And that is something that my old father Tedder, will always remind us of. Uncle Tedder will always remind us that united we stand and divided we fall. And I remember him so fondly at this moment. So let's come together, and I know that the elephant is a winning symbol, and we are going to go ahead and win. Let us come together. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Assalamu alaikum. You've been very, very, very supportive, and I have recognized this, and for some time now, I have been supportive of the salaries of a few of the women who are here, and I will continue to be supportive of you. And
welcome back now. Those are excerpts of the Thank You tour being led by the NPP. Of course, Dr. Bawumia is the one who was on the floor speaking, talking about some of the issues. And I'm sure you have seen some of the issues he's raised, blaming the defeat of the party on such issues. He says that some were due to, arrogance of power, some decisions taken by government, the DDEP issues that came as controversial as the cathedral, as e-levy, and more, that Dr. Bawumia has mentioned all those factors as, causes of the NPP's defeats. Let's go into the phone lines and engage the political analyst, Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, who's joined us via Zoom. Let's check if he's really there. Doc, thank you for your time. Good afternoon. Hello, Mr. Asante-Okyere.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Thank you for your time, and you're welcome to the program. Good afternoon to you. First of all, give me your observation so far when the Thank You tour kicked off. What have you observed, and do you think that the NPP is on the right path?
Well, certainly. Let me say good afternoon to your good self and to your viewers, and to reiterate the fact that I lost my mother on the 29th of March.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And we scheduled, so I've been, on the quiet for some time. The funeral is scheduled for July 25th to 27th.
Right. My condolences. I'm sorry, from the team here. Please, our condolences to you. I'm so sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you, Ellie. The point is that when the NPP lost the elections in a gargantuan fashion in the 2024 elections, I was the one who proposed that there is the need for a committee to be set up for them to investigate, the loss, which they did. I've had my reservation with respect to Professor Makukwe being the chair, because I felt that he is part of the relics of the former president, and that in itself could create some kind of problem or suspicion. That being said, they are on the right path, if you ask me, that you know, they needed to do something of that sort, which they have done. What I have in hesitation, especially about what they are doing now, is about the christening of the tour as thank you tour. I'm of the view that to say thank you, I mean, it is Mr. Mahama who should go out there and say he's going on a thank you tour because he won the elections. But the one who lost the elections, when you say you're going on a thank you tour, I think that thank you is born out of cynicism and nothing else. Apart from the issues that were raised, I think that christening this particular tour as a thank you tour is linguistically unacceptable.
Really?
It should have been a unity tour so that all those issues that led to your defeat, you will be able to raise them, apologize along the line, and ask the people to forgive, and then you go on that unity, tour. I think that is something that Mr. Kennedy Japan really suggested and proposed on one of those platforms, I think the Takrady one, where he suggested to the effect that, look, there is the need for all those who have been excommunicated, all those who have been suspended indefinitely, to come back, to be asked to come back and join the fold. That for me is a mark of maturity. And as for the Bawumia's issue, maybe when you ask a question, then I'll be able to dilate on those ones.
So before we get into the issues Dr. Bawumia is raising, you agree with Kennedy Japan that it should have been a unity tour where he thinks that the party should grant members who have been suspended amnesty to come back. We rearrange. In fact, I had a text from, I would say, suspecting that he's from the team of Kennedy Japan. He said the Ghanaians and NPP base deserve not just acknowledgements of problems, but clear, honest answers about the future. And it is not enough to admit what went wrong. There must be a bold and sincere commitment to real change, not just recycling the same people and policies that brought the party down. The time for cosmetic answers is over, and we must demand real accountabilities, real change, and real leadership. So this texter, name withheld because I'm already associating him with a camp, is requesting that we knew what was happening. You are not going to reinvent the wheel. We knew what was happening. What we need from you is to tell us accounts for why those that happened.
Which, of course, he doesn't have the wherewithal to do so because, to be frank with you, when they said that they were keeping the report and the lock and key, I realized that certain individuals are going to bear the brunt. You remember on your platform, I said that President Akufo-Addo was going to be the worst and the most miserable ex-president in this country. These are some of the reasons. And I can tell you emphatically that the report indicts him so much that it is in consonance with what Global Info Analytics did, that 68% blamed the loss of the NPP on President Akufo-Addo. And that of Bawumia, around 30-something%. Kenneth Oriata, around 40-something. So if you do accumulation, you will have to know that certain individuals brought the party down from government. And they just don't want those people to be held accountable. Because if you do so, then it means that they are relics. And that is the more reason why, strategically, Dr. Bawumia is trying to disassociate himself from President Akufo-Addo. In those speeches that he's putting out there, he's trying to disassociate himself and reassert himself as a man of his own. That's the more reason why he's decided that he's putting the former president under the bus. Nothing more, nothing less. It is political strategy. He has nothing to lose. The former president has nothing to gain. After all, in 2024, somewhere in November, Global Info Analytics made us understand that the approval rating of the former president was somewhere between 22 and 24%. So, of what use is this person to your refreshing campaign messages? There's no use. So you just have to put him under the bus. But that in itself has its own political consequences, so to speak. And so, as of now, I'm of the view that Well, he doesn't want to be tagged with this idea of being a relic of the former president. And that is the more reason why he's gone on that tangent.
So the Nanado, as a president, as you said, he's going to be one of the miserable ex-presidents ever. He's having to face criticism from the government in power now, and he's now having to face criticisms from persons in his own party. Have you seen the report?
The Makokwe report?
Yes.
Well, of course, Dr. Baumia, he's seen it, he's putting into the public domain, to mention National Cathedral, to mention high cost of living, telling us that some few days to elections, they increase fuel prices as if you are not part. I mean, name them. A litany of complaints, but no responsibility on his part. Occasionally, he used the we subject. That is fair. But when you indict the very person who cut your teeth to find yourself in politics and to get opportunity to be the, what's it called, to become the second in command in opposition and the second in command in government, 16 solid years of leadership, well, you should have found a nice way of treating that particular person, but not in the name of politics, for which reason you will more or less betray, the person in that particular fashion. All in the name of two factors. What are those factors? There is a deep-seated internal motivation to the effect that, and it is part of the report, that religion and tribal affiliation, of which Dr. Baumia tried to rebut as being two main causes of his downfall, he has rebutted that and gave those lists. So that is the connection in terms of the narrative, that it is not about tribal affiliation or religious affiliation that led to the defeat of the NPP, but rather, National Cathedral scandal, high cost of living, increasing fuel, this thing is forgotten about the currency. You took it from 4 to 17 cedis, and all the other factors that you can name them. And even he mentioned the fact that internally, those internal elections that they contested, in which certain things were said, especially without mentioning Mr. Kennedy Japon's name, whatever he said was an indictment on Kennedy Japon's integrity because of things that he said. But he's forgotten that in actual fact, he himself does not have credibility. And it goes as far back as the period leading to the 2016 elections. And so if you do accumulation of all these factors, then certainly he cannot exculpate himself from blame. There's nothing that he can do. But you see, those two factors that I mentioned, which he's trying to rebut, religion and that of tribal. Now, on the tribal, you know that the conflict out there is definitely going to affect the chances of the NPP, and it did in the 2024 elections. When you talk of religion, you are talking about a situation where he being a Muslim and, of course, trying to fraternize more with the Christians. And we know that in terms of the statistics, we are talking about 71%. In terms of Christianity, we are talking about 17 Muslim and then the rest. So he sees himself as disadvantaged. And there is that internal bickering that, do we go with this person or we drop him? The MPP is trying to rid itself of the agonistic tag. And that's the more reason why, they rooted out for him to go. But this abysmal performance, in a situation where internally you are not even able to chalk 70 against your main opponent, when in actual fact, Mr. Mahama was hitting 98.7, 0.8 thereabout, there is no way you'll be able to win, because that tells you that there are more factions within the NPP than in the NDC.
Before we get into the details of some of the issues he's raising, do you think that you've said that it should have been a unity tour? On hindsight, if the NPP had decided and agreed that, okay, let's make it a unity tour, who who would have been appropriate in leading this tour? Because there should be, the party executives are there, the flag bearer is there, and there are persons who also are showing interest of leading the party also there. Who would have been appropriate in leading so it doesn't look as though there is someone who seems to have hijacked? Because in the current situation, it looks as though Dr. Bawumia has been given the opportunity to be the one to be speaking or be the main speaker at the events or at everywhere there's a stop. Then he gets the opportunity to say things that sort of cast a slur on the executives, cast a slur on the party at large, and it seems to be breaking, the ranks of the party deeper.
Well, he received some applause as far as those who were there were concerned. But of course, as far as the constitution of the MPP is concerned, he's still the leader of the party until a new flag bearer is chosen. So you cannot do away with him. Obviously, there are top-notch opinion leaders within the party. There are others who equally contested in the previous internal elections. And if you really want to talk about a unity tour, then all these people will have to be on the platform. Suffice to say that everybody will want to outdo the other, but it is a little too early. You need to be very careful and be strategic, the kinds of things that you put out there. But I can tell you on authority that its rebuttal is deep-seated. It's from the party within, because it still appears that, as I said some years back, or some few months back, is someone who is a tenant wanting to become a landlord. When the landlord, the children of the landlord are alive, that is the kind of opposition he's facing. So there isn't that grand acceptability of his leadership within the party. People still see him as an outsider who got opportunity because of President Akufo-Addo and probably the Achim fraternity of the party. They gave him that particular opportunity. So people still feel that he's not a grassroots person, because for your opponent to get 38% against you, you are not on the ground. We didn't see that with President Akufo-Addo. He had over 80-something%. So that meant that even Alanda was solid in those years, still will not in any way outperform Mr. Akufo-Addo. So he doesn't have such crowd within the party. So that in itself is a huge dilemma for the party. It's a huge dilemma. When the elections were over and I said that they should have a committee to go around finding out exactly what went wrong, I said that the main problem, the main dilemma of the MPP going forward will be Dr. Bawumia, because they will be more confused as to whether it will gain acceptability within the party. What about without the party? Will he be able to, surmount the challenges ahead? So he himself is a problem. But at this point in time, I don't see any better candidate than himself. In the internal contest that they had, of course, himself, Mr. Kennedy Japan, and co. I said that Mr. Kennedy Japan had more message than Dr. Bawumia. He had a better message than Dr. Bawumia, and you could realize that. But I said that, Mr. Kennedy Japan, so if you knew you had presidential ambition, if not because you just wanted to prove to some people within the party that as far as the grassroots are concerned, you are solid, and indeed it is not an afterthought, but you had a presidential ambition, then there were certain things that you shouldn't have done. There were certain pronouncements that you shouldn't have made in the public domain. Maybe he needs a better manager who will be able to come out and, create a situation where there will be that rebranding. Because I tell you what, when it comes to messaging, I think Mr. Kennedy Japan has always had a better message than Dr. Bawumia. But as to whether he is able to surmount the party and then at the national level, these are two different challenges.
All right. Can you hold on? I've just been joined on the phone lines by the party director, communications director for the MPP, Richard Ahiagba. to speak to us on also the developing reports that we, the news people, are doing about the Thank You tour. Richard, thank you for your time once again. You're welcome. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Right. So, are you in Accra or you are?
I'm in Accra. I just returned to Accra so we can submit notice to the police for a demonstration on the 5th against the president's undemocratic efforts to remove the Chief Justice from office and thereby undermine our judiciary.
Let me get a scoop. Let me get a scoop from that. How's that going? How's that preparation
we have just formally submitted the notice to the police at the head office at their registry. They have received it, and so by now the police is on notice, and we're hoping that on the day they'll provide every security to ensure that Ghanaians who are the sovereign have opportunity to tell the president once and for all that we will not tolerate any effort to undermine the judiciary and thereby our democracy.
You will not tolerate attempt to undermine the judiciary?
Absolutely.
What does that mean?
It means that we are the sovereign. We are the people of Ghana. Democracy as we have it. The president is exercising the power that we have given him on our behalf, and he must do what we want him to do to preserve our democracy, not to undermine it. That's exactly what it means.
Okay.
That the president is taking certain decisions that we think is detrimental to our democracy. I want him to know that we will not stand for it.
So what will you do if this process continues?
Well, I just told you that we're demonstrating on the 5th, and you are invited. And I'm using your platform to invite your viewers, your listeners across all your platforms to join us on the 5th of May. We're beginning at the park opposite the Supreme Court, and we're proceeding from there to Parliament House, and we're ending at the Jubilee House. We're touching all the three arms of government to serve our notice clear that we will not tolerate any effort by anyone to undermine our democracy. Thereby, we want to do this demonstration to drive that point home strongly.
Right. Rachel, let's now, get back to the issue of the thank you tour. What did you do so far? And with all that, yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So I'm asking, what's your impression so far about the thank you tour? There's been suggestions that looks like the thank you tour is shifting its focus. In fact, there's a release that just came from the office of Mr. Boakye Jakon. If you permit me, I read excerpts of it, and it says that time for course and correction, safeguarding the spirit of our party. The ongoing thank you tour, envisioned as a beacon of hope and a rallying point to reignite the spirit of our faithful supporters, is unfortunately veering off the course. What was intended to restore our party's shine and reconnect us with the grassroots is instead unraveling into bouts and discord, blame shifting, and internal strife. The regrettable turn of events threaten to inflict serious collateral damage on the very fabric of our party. More worrying is a steadily eroding and goodwill and trust we have worked so hard to cultivate among the Ghanaian people. So some of your, leading officials are not obviously happy with how the thank you tour is going. Somebody personally asked me, why is Richard Anyangba not writing the speech for Dr. Bawumia to read, because it doesn't look like someone is helping him?
Well, I'm pretty sure that whoever said that in jest. But the truth of the matter is, I heard you haven't read the full story from the former aspirant of our party, Honorable Boakye Jakon. I have not read his statement, but from what you have said, and I've heard you, what it means is that he's not happy with some happenings on the tour. But that's expected in democracy. We can all not agree on everything. But the truth of the matter is that all of us were invited. I was on the tour, just returned to Accra for the assignment I just discussed to you about submitting our notice to the police and some other meetings to do with the demonstration. This is the time to show membership. This is time to show love for our party. We may not get everything perfectly right, but I invite the honorable member, a deserving potential flag bearer of our party, to join hands with us. Where there are issues, let's correct it. Let's not bring these efforts to the public domain to discuss. Let's have a conversation. We're building a party. It's an institution where people operate, and so therefore there'll be disagreements, but such disagreements should not materialize in the form that he's issuing letters. It should come to the party. Let's talk about it so that collectively we can build a party that is strong and formidable to wrestle power. What is clear in my mind is that the new patriotic party stands a better chance to drive and improve Ghana's fortune than the NDC or any other political party. So to that extent, let's work. Where there are personal disagreements and petty politics and people's interests, let's rise above that and look at the national interest. So there's a humble appeal to him to look at other alternatives to address issues such as he has expressed in this letter, to join with the party rather than take it to the media to have such discussion. But the tour is going on well. He is invited. I was there, Kennedy Japan was there. Any other person who wants to be on the tour, be on the tour, be part of the effort, the rebuilding effort, not to stand against it. So I humbly appeal to him to join us, and matters in the letter that he has raised can all be resolved. Can all be resolved if we work together.
I'm not sure how it's a thank you tour. It means that I want to believe the party had come together with everyone that was in some supposed camp, like Mr. Chermating, Kennedy Japan is seen on the thank you tour. But did the party make it a conscious effort as executive body to make sure all these flag bearers who had their own, issues come on board? So it looks like the party is indeed coming with a unity front, because Mr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere is suggesting that it should have been a unity tour and not necessarily a thank you tour, because linguistically it doesn't sit right.
Well, I mean, any number of things can be advised, but the truth is that the decision to have a thank you tour is a decision of it's a decision of our National Council, and is encompassing. The outside of conference, the National Council is the second highest decision-making body of our party. And so it is the decision of the National Council to have a thank you tour, and I think that is the mind of the party. Every other person who is a member who loves this party must comply with the decision of the party. So I think that it is not any two people who sat in the room to decide to go and do a national thank you tour, but it is a decision of the National Council of our party. And as a member of the party, we are enjoined by our constitution to support and advance the interests of the party and support publicly the decisions of the party. So I think that all deserving members of the party must comply and must obey and effect the decision of our National Council. So it is a thank you tour. All are invited. I was on it. I came back. As soon as possible, I'll join again. Our senior Bache Jako is invited. He should join it. He's one person, all things being equal, could lead our party. He must show that example now to be part of the rebuilding effort rather than stand outside.
But Richard, a person like Bache Jako is not supposed to be invited. He's supposed to be a part of the team.
But I'm saying that the party is bigger than any one person. You must understand that. So if the National Council of the party has taken a decision, everybody must fall in line. You understand? So no other person will be bigger than the decision made by the National Council of the party. Mm-hmm. You must understand that. Yeah. So if the National Council of the party has made a decision, I am obliged to fall in line to promote that decision that has been made, to uphold that decision of the National Council of the party. So you must look at the issue broadly. It is not about Honorable Bache Jako, it's about the party and the National Council of the party, the second highest decision-making body of the party, has decided on a course, and that course all of us must fall in line with.
Do we get the impression as though the comments being made by Dr. Bawumia are comments that the party, National Council, executive body have all agreed that this is how the communication line of the flag bearer of the 2024 elections should go? Because it looks as though everyone that comes out to say things they're not happy, they are called into a room that, no, come and say it in the bedroom. But Dr. Bawumia has the right to say things that are obviously affecting others in the party. They are not happy about it.
I'm sure where you're on TV, and if anything is going wrong with your production, you don't allow your producer to come in front of the camera and tell you. You either take a break and so discuss it in camera. That's what is expected. We're building an institution. If there are challenges, people should not come in front of the camera and say it. They must come, let's say it, when we fix it, we'll come in front of the camera and tell Ghanaians. You understand that?
Yes.
That's how we understand, and that's how we must work.
I see. So the issues that also have come in the public domain, we're dealing with what the comments being made by Dr. Bawumia, blaming those factors as those that led the party into, the defeat in 2024. As the communications director for the party, how does it come to you?
Well,
there's been suggestions from some of your executives that all executives who were, in charge should all step aside, resign or something. Let's get new faces. So as the communications director, and some of these things are being thrown right in your face, how do you feel about it?
Well, it's a very painful loss that we have experienced. People legitimately have their views on how we should proceed. But I think that every guidance and advice to proceed on how we proceed should focus on the interests of the party. And so for me, it's a democracy. So there cannot be any fiat issue that people who are in charge should all be taken away. It's a democratic process. If they go for elections and they're not voted for, so be it. But then there cannot be any fiat issued by anyone to say that people should be taken aside or should be, pulled away from their roles, because that's not how it works in a democracy. But the truth of the matter is that we are working to build our party rather than, stand outside and throw pebbles into the park. Let everybody come in. Let's work together, unite, correct what we ought to correct, and build together forward. I think that that's a better approach. That is a patriotic approach. That is a party loving approach that we should all take. I think that all other matters are just people's politics that they're inserting, and sometimes some of it influenced by the NDC trying to create, break our front and create disaffection within. But we are clear in our minds that as a party, we have work to do, and we are focused on doing that work. And we are sure once we go through this difficult rebuilding process, we'll arrive at a party that is formidable, resolute to wrestle power in 2028.
Right. Countless times during your tenure when you were in government, there were a lot of issues that were raised within the economy. And most of the times, you as communicators for the party and the flag bearer himself, Dr. Bawumia, will either wish it away or deny some of the issues that were raised by your opponents. We've talked about the DEP, we've talked about e-levy, we've talked about cathedral, we've talked about a lot of issues that Dr. Bawumia himself has repeated on this tour. But mostly during the campaign, it was the issue of Russia and Ukraine war. That's why we're where we are. There was nothing like, no, we are arrogant. It was never accepted when criticisms of that nature were being raised against, the government and its communicators and its officials. So what are we saying now? Are we saying that we lied during the campaign season, or reality is now hitting us?
This your question is very interesting. You sound like a politician asking a question for effect. The truth of the matter is that we understand there are some concerns that have come. A typical example, even though you haven't cited any, is the reshuffling matter that came up very strongly. Right. On that score, I think that is just a matter of leadership. Again, I use you as the example. you are in charge. Your producers have put a show together for you, a news program for you. You are the one to deliver it. They can write you a question right now that ask Richard so and so, but you are the one to ask the question. So you determine that the follow-up is appropriate before you can ask that question they're asking, because I've said something you want to inquire into further. So that is a decision you have to make. The point I'm making is that as the leader, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was in charge, we can make recommendation, the country can make recommendation, but he is the vision bearer. And when he determined that appropriately we have to do it at a later date, that's how we have to go, because he is the one we have entrusted power to, and we must trust him in making that decision. And when the appropriate time came for what he is seeing ahead of us, he made the reshuffling. So if after the fact we're doing some diagnosis and saying that perhaps we should have listened and do it when the people say, and that you can say that perhaps it appears an arrogance of power, that is just a post-mortem assessment of what has gone. But in real time, the decision made to make the reshuffle at a later date perhaps is the leaders to make. The point I want to make is that if in the end, if we had won the election, all of those things will have been ruled the appropriate thing. Unfortunately, we haven't won the election, and so therefore the chickens are coming home to roost, and we're making this post-mortem assessment. The truth is not to say that at the time we thought that it was arrogant of power, and then we deceived Ghanaians, but in retrospect, we are assessing to see that maybe we could have done it this way or that way, but at the time, that was perhaps the best of the options available. And if we had won, would have been vindicated on that path, but because we lost, naturally you have to take a second look at the decisions you make.
And because you lost, it also vindicates persons who predicted this happening today, because there were political analysts like Mr. Asante I'm talking to who said that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is going to be suffering or is going to be one of the miserable ex-presidents, because he's going to be battered by both the government and his own party, and that's what we see happening now.
I don't think so. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is in great spirit. I saw him some 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago. He's in great spirit. There is nobody in our party today that would say that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's governance was ill-intended. You just heard Dr. Bawumia on his tour indicate that posterity would vindicate the governance of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I was in the room when he said that, and I believe it is true. It's just a matter of time. But this post-mortem analysis that we're making is not to point blame or point finger at anybody. It's a collective pursuit that we're engaged in with a leader, and we supported that leader. His successes are our success. His failure, we all inherit. So there is no effort to isolate or single out the former president for any treatment whatsoever. We stand by him, we defend him by day, by night, and he remains a very important part of our party. And so I would correct that impression for you. There isn't any effort, and anybody who suggests that it would be because of their politics and their dislike for the person of the president, but not founded on facts.
Kindly hold on there. Let me bring in Mr. Santiocho. Are you still there? Hello, Doc.
Yes.
Okay. I hope you heard Richard in our conversation.
Yeah. Of course, he's a typical politician. They will always live in denial.
You think he's living in denial?
Yeah, these are some of the post-trends. They lived in denial. They never took global info analytics data seriously. Even if it was going against you, all you needed to do was to study it and then probably look at areas, that you feel there is a need for you to work. Maybe on the quiet, without necessarily bastardizing the data that was being put out there. I mean, there is no way you can convince me that a president whose approval rating as of November 2024 was 22 or 24%, and the thing that the person did was And you see, it is not all about Dr. Bawumia losing the elections. The role of the former president can never be underestimated in the Gangatua loss that Dr. Bawumia suffered. But in the public domain, you don't expect anything else but, a solid defense, so to speak. So
yes,
I may not be
because along the line, Dr. Bawumia had even mentioned that he didn't even know that 3 days to elections, there was fuel increment.
But you see, that is just as Mr. Hyamba will say, maybe it's post-facto rationalization. But we have been seeing petrol increment, on this deregulation period, even from Mr. Mahamad's era to President Akufo-Addo's era to Dr. Bawumia's era. So it is not those few days to that period that changed people's mind negatively against the government. The cost of living that Dr. Bawumia was talking about, all are part of that. And it did not take place just on a few days to the elections. People really suffered. People really suffered. The other time when I was telling him that the economy was shambolic, he said, no. But if Dr. Bawumia says that high cost of living, food inflation alone, what was the percentage? In the 50s. So there is no way people are just going to laugh, go to the polls and vote for you once again. That is not going to happen. There is that reality check. But sometimes, I don't know, maybe when they come into the public domain, there is the need for people to see that remorse on the part of the party that was in government, now in opposition. I don't see that genuine remorse. At least I can see some genuineness on the part of Dr. Bawumia with respect to the things that he outlined. But of course, I said earlier on that those things were said. It is just based upon a political strategy because he has a contest and he has competitors. Therefore, if people are saying or suggesting within the party, as far as the report is concerned, that probably religion or tribal affiliation played a role, then he will have to come out and tell you that, look, high cost of living, the cathedral scandal, you can talk of DDEP. The president said that they were not going to do that. Later on, they did it. Obviously, he wants to come out in this kind of sincerity. He wants to project some kind of sincerity.
Okay, so if he is indeed interested in this flag bearership race in the next elections that the party is about to, hold, is he doing anything good to his candidature? Because these are the very issues the same person defended when he was in office.
Well, it's a political strategy.
And we have one of the persons we assume is also interested, or we are predicting is also interested in the flag bearership ways, Kenneth Japong, who also in government criticized these same issues that Dr. Bawumia is talking about. So these issues, I think, from where I sit, is as though it's much ado about nothing, because it's just water under the bridge.
Well, sometimes you just have to, come out plainly, call a spade, and not some kind of small spoon or whatever they call that. That's why I said that I see some sincerity in admission, but that sincerity is also a rebuttal of what internally people are suggesting that religion and tribal affiliation might have contributed to that Gangantua loss. Because here is a man who comes from a minority tribe, and of course, in terms of religion too, is minority. We are talking about a country that is constituent of 71% of Christians, 17% Muslim, and the rest being other, kind of affiliations. And so these factors really worked against him. But if you look at global info analytics data, they are suggesting that these things did not play any major role. But of course, you cannot take that thing away from people who affiliate themselves with either the NPP or the NDC based upon, seeing a certain number of people within that particular space. They can easily identify themselves because they will feel at home. You cannot take that thing away from people. But that may not be the major distance. But the major issue that Dr. Bawumia outlined, we are talking about the economy. And cost of living was that quite high. And so in as much as it's like, he's just putting a dagger under his own throat. People will come out to say that, well, he's admitted. Maybe today it is convenient for him to do so. In those periods, it was not, because that would have been an admission of a failure. And that in itself, the opposition will have latched on to that. And so this is the time that if you want to do an introspection analysis of what really transpired based on the committee's report, then you may have to come out sincerely. But as I said, as much as he was sincere about the things that he was saying, I feel that when I looked at the narrative, I realized it was a rebuttal, of those two motivations or factors against him. And that in itself takes off the sincerity, away from that. And in itself, it betrays the cause of the MPP under leadership of President Akufo-Addo and himself. And occasionally he used the we subject. That in itself is also an admission that we are all together. What I tell my students that we sail together or we sink together when you are doing group presentation. If we work hard as a group and we do the presentation, when we get higher marks, it favors everybody. When we get lower marks, it affects everybody. So that is something that I saw in the presentation that he made. That being said, it also individualizes some of the blame. Because if you talk of National Cathedral, the name that will come up will Ken Oforiatta and all those people that did it. If you talk of this domestic debt exchange program, the president saying that we're not going to give any haircut. In the end, you give a haircut. So at the end of the day, that's going to affect. If you talk of e-levy, and then you suggest that the party people say they don't like e-levy, it was organ and not party people. And then you imposed it. So when they were doing that, you never came out to say that A, B, C, and D. Well, so let's just say that, well, this is a political strategy. It could work or it may backfire. Maybe time will tell. It's a little too early to have a conclusion on that.
Right. Thank you very much. I'll leave you here, but let me get back to Richard. Richard, if you're still there, let me take your final words before I let off you as well. Eleonos, Jonathan.
Thank you very much. I think that I disagree with Dr. Autry, and he knows why. We are engaged in an honest pursuit to let our party people understand, essentially, that we appreciate the work that they have put in, and there isn't anything other than that. Dr. Autry is an apologist for the NDC, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Richard,
and so for me,
Richard, I plead with you. That's an attack. I didn't call him as an NDC communicator. I called him as a political
I'm telling you that, so please indulge me. He has said everything he wants to say.
But Richard, that's fine. But that tag is
I don't understand why you want to tell me what to say.
That tag is disrespectful. Please. With all due respect, Richard, I beg you, please.
There isn't anything offensive in.
No, it's fine. You can disagree, but you cannot call him an apologist of a political party. I think that.
What is an apologist?
No, I'm sorry, Richard. I'm sorry.
It's an advocate of the NDC.
No, Richard, I will not accept.
Ali,
I didn't
if
call
you don't
him.
want me to talk on your network, just let me know.
No, I did not call him as an advocate for any political party.
I am saying it. You are not calling him. I am saying it. So what's your business of trying to tell me what to say?
My business is that I invited him.
Let's end it here. Richard, if you don't want me to talk on your network, that is
my business is that I invited him.
Because Ali, you cannot call me to come on your program and decide for me what I say. What I am saying, based on what the person has said, is what I'm telling you. So what are you trying to tell me what to say, Ali?
First of all, Richard, I am never
trying to. I am letting you understand that the man is an advocate of the NDC, and so everything he's saying it to advance the interest of the NDC. I don't see where your interests lie in that matter. Why you are trying to give me what words to speak, Ali?
Well, for the record,
so the man is doing NDC's bidding.
What you say? What you say
is designed to advance the NDC's politics. And that's where I'll leave it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Richard. But what anybody says is their own position, and we will not allow anyone to disrespect anybody. Once we are the people who invited them to speak with us, we invite them in a particular capacity. You speak to that. No one is telling anyone to say what they want to say, what they don't have to say. But I think that when persons are invited in a particular capacity, we will just allow them to speak in that capacity. If you come at them, we will be held responsible because we've invited them to speak with them in that, capacity. So let's keep it that way. And I think that will be more respectful. I mean, you can disagree with what people say. Okay, I hear Mr. Asante is still on the line and wants to make an intervention, so maybe because of what has just happened. Ms. Ochre, what do you want to, what do you want to say?
It's just unfortunate. And you see, I have made a comparison of the various communication directors that I've seen within the MPP. And I think that if the MPP decides to maintain him as their communication director, they have a long way to go. He is by far different from Mr. Komia. Mr. Komia is a secret talker. He talks with finesse. We saw Mr. Wabi. And I mean, it's just unfortunate. Unless probably he doesn't understand when you say somebody is, what's it called? What word did he even use? An apologist. Yes. I mean, you see, when you say so, then it means that that person does not have a brain of his own in terms of, like, his brain is aligned to a particular direction, and that is it. I have said that what Atabaumia said, there is some sincerity within that, but it's a rebuttal of what people are using against him within the party itself. If you decide to say that that is not the case, so be it. But why do you always want to attack my integrity as an apologetic of the NDC? No apologies. He said something like that against me on Joy. Well, I did not attack his integrity. I said that is typical of politicians. But if Dr. Baumia says that arrogance of power is what has sent them into opposition, and you have the director of communications who is not showing any kind of remorse in that direction, then obviously MPP has a lot of things to communicate if they really want to maintain him as such.
Okay.
In fact, the deputy has even changed his line of communication. What Mr. Forgotten his name. He has a nickname called Abu Apapo or something of that sort. He's even changed his line of communication. So as for me, I don't have a problem if he calls me by that. No apologies intended. But if he doesn't focus on the main business of the party and they seek to do a reorganization and restoration, as one of the former flag bearers, once said, well, then they will have a long way to go. Because, look, even in the midst of the rebranding, I have said two things. If the NDC ensures that they handle their transition perfectly without creating internal problems, and if what Mr. Mahama is doing and that of the Vice President they are doing with respect to the economy, and if they have not in any way changed negatively, or any of the indicators that they came to meet has not had a downward turn, there's no way Ghanaians will easily say that, let us bring the MPP back. You think they have easily forgotten? No. When the government even begins to start this accountability, when they begin to probe and they send them to court, that in itself, they'll have a handful of issues to deal with.
Okay.
So I think that the arrogance in power and in opposition, well, it is just legendary. And they will have to have a rethink as to those who communicate for them.
Okay, Mr. Asante, thank you. Dr. Jonathan Asante is a political analyst, and my producer has just prompted me that Richard still wants to make an intervention, so let me just allow him before we take the next break. Richard, if you're still there, let's hear you.
Annie,
yes.
You just listened to Dr. Asante attack my person, and you were quiet. You didn't ask him any question. That even my deputy has changed his line of communication. I have been talking on your platform for years. You have not reason to complain about my communication, but he said it, and you were quiet. You allowed him to say it. Now, when we call out people, then you find reason to interrogate us as if we're saying something untoward. The same thing he said, you were quiet, and you allowed him to say it. And I'm taking a very strong exception to your attitude in dealing with us when we come on your platform. I just want to serve that notice, okay? The truth of the matter is that the arrogance of power that my brother want to focus on. It was evidence of things that had gone on.
It means that even when something is wrong, he does not see it.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Okay, so please, can you have him be quiet so I can speak? Okay. The truth I'm trying to put out is that Dr. Baumia was making a post-mortem analysis, and what analysis I think I've given you to say that, yes, there was a call to do restructure, one of the key matters, and at the time we were, in the midst of the affairs, the decision that rests with the president, he thought that, the best way was not to do it when it was called for, but to do it at a certain time. And if a leader makes that decision, we have to fall in line. And that does not amount to arrogance. But then, of course, in retrospect, you're saying that perhaps if we had done that, maybe we would have got along with the people. But then the challenges that, stopped us from doing it were real. And so now you can consider it and say that perhaps that is a factor to note that had led to our defeat. And so it is one thing you can do if you lose the election, but if we had won, all of these things would have been praised as the best decisions ever. And so Dr. Sadiotri, in trying to mask his politics, should not just feel that he can just come and say anything under the guise of neutral commentator and all of that. We know. And if you don't know anything at all, we saw in the 2024 election a list of people who presented themselves as neutrals, including even journalists who are now appointed into the government, doing the government's bidding. When we say it, you will say that we are attacking people, but you saw it. And I can name names. And Dr. Sadiotri is perhaps one of those. Everything he says is always against the NPP. And I won't mince words. And if that is what he's going to say to me, that NPP, we are not communicating in a manner he wants, we are only simply calling him out. There's no problem if he is NDC and he wants to talk for NDC. He should come clear and say it. But the 2024 election taught us that all those people out there parading as though they are social commentators, they are neutrals, they are not neutrals. They are NDC operatives, and he's one of them. Everything he says goes along that way. So he shouldn't be shy if I call him out for what he is. He should just own it and operate as such. We know what they are up to. But the truth is that, Ali,
yes,
he's telling you that if the NDC continues doing what they are doing to the economy, I want him to tell us one thing the NDC has done to the economy that he thinks is going to help the economy. I want him to tell us the political efforts that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the NDC, is engaged in to remove the Chief Justice, thereby undermine the judiciary and destroy our democracy. What has he to say about that? They should focus on the things that matter. Matters to do with NPP reorganization is not his preoccupation. He should focus on the key issues that go at our democracy, the effort by the government, his party, to destroy our democracy, undermine the judiciary. He must focus on that. What is his view on that? Is he okay? Is he happy with what the president is doing, attacking the judiciary, trying to silence and instill fear in our judges from doing their work, and using the judiciary to silence we the citizens and curtail our rights? That is what he should be commenting on, not engaging in politics and calling himself analyst. He's not. He's an NDC apologist, and he's doing just that on your show. And I want you to allow us to call people out. What we're doing is to bring daylight to the backroom operations that they did in the 2024 election. Now we have seen all of them appointed to positions, and Ghanaians were deceived by their so-called neutral stance and went to vote in a certain way. And today we are seeing the bad impact of this government. You should tell us about the economy. The NDC promised they were going to remove the COVID-19 levy. What has happened to it? Is it not still on the books? They told us when IMF comes to town and do some review, they will find a framework to remove it. Has that happened? No. They are hoping to collect somewhere about around about 3 billion or so from the COVID-19 levy. But they told us on your platform, Danny, I was there, they told us that, oh, COVID is gone. Why do we still have COVID-19 levy? But the COVID-19 levy is on the books and the NDC is collecting it. They told us, and in your studios, I told you that a 24-hour economy is a scam. Today, where is the 24-hour economy? Where is the 24-hour economy? So Dr. Santechi, the NDC analyst, should tell us what is happening. When is that going to come? They told us they'll fight Galamsey today. What is happening to Galamsey? It's worsened. It's worsened to the extent NDC chairmen are seeking, are wanting the security services to seek permission from them before they can come and fight Galamsey. What happened to that? What is he saying, Dr. Santechi? What is he saying, Asante? What is he saying about that? They told us they were going to build a Women's Development Bank. Now today they are following in the opposite direction, trying to remove women appointees or women heads of institutions from their offices. Why is the NDC doing this, and why is Dr. Autry not speaking about that and is talking about MPP internal politics? That is not his analysis. That's not the analysis we want to hear from him. We want his analysis, his view on national matters. Matters to do with the MPP, should leave that to us. We'll deal with our internal matters. We want to hear him on the effort to remove and undermine the judiciary. What does he say about that? That's what we want to hear. We want people to own up to who they are. That, for me, is how we can proceed, and everybody knows where everybody stands. But you can't come in a shadowy way to say that you are an independent analyst when you are indeed an NDC operative.
Richard. Hello, Richard.
Howdy.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you kindly.
Richard Anyagba is the Communications Director for the MPP. We'll leave it here, but any offensive comment made, we will disassociate ourselves from the comments. We don't invite people here just because we like them. It's just because of what professionally they do, and then we invite them alongside. So that's just for some clarity. Richard Asante, thank you. Sorry, Jonathan Asante, because of time, we'll leave it here. I'm grateful for your time, and maybe another time we'll have some more conversations on the political, details that's coming up. But the chip-embedded passports, it's been launched. So the Foreign Ministry is a ministry that's leading this. Let's have that story before we go for the break. Okay, I'm told that it's ready. So let's listen. Let's take a listen. Right, okay, production is giving directive. We'll take a breather. When we come back, we'll give you the details of what the chip-embedded passport is all about.
Ama, nasemi general well-being enkoye kwao. Ama maye bohu se kontomra akija.
Nasemi hu se me nyo basima kura. Ama me kunu ni me into kwankwa. Oyiwa. Enye mo give us JC lecture and the capsules. Aye numbom. En ho asem na mo kana. Ebua emma ene meme nyina. Na ma wo ba ye obesima. Na be ma so aye be masima. Yeah, we be bwanku. Ama ne giant sa wo de hye ne botum. Na wanyinya nanim te sese ne oyi chopmo. GC mixture and capsule. Achisa.
A painful battle one more menu for one kwada when if you do me
M&C Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in minerals and food commodity trading, precious minerals refinery, real estate development, and logistics and energy. With individually registered companies, our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia in the USA, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value in every deal. Call us on 0302 551 917 or 0302 551 918 or send us an email mncgroup@mncgroupgh.
You're welcome back to Good Afternoon, Ghana. A message that I received from a Deputy Communications Officer of the NDC, Godwin Akogan, during the banter with Richard and Jonathan. He said that so these people are going on a thank you tour, leaving their arrogance and calling people names and tagging them. Ghanaians must know them for who they are. And that's a message coming from Akogan, when that whole back and forth banter of calling each other names or calling tagging Jonathan as being blah, blah, blah of a political party. But updates that's also coming through. Let me just remind you that the news was actually delivered by my colleague Dominic Ansapra. Ghana launches chip-embedded passports, a major leap in global connectivity. So the story actually indicates that Ghana has embarked on a commendable step towards the modernization of a travel identity system with the official launch of the new chip-embedded passport. The introduction of the chip-embedded passport is in compliance with the International Civil Aviation Organization's ICAO regulations. Now, it is also underscores the fulfillment of one of Ghana's foreign policy objectives, which is to promote the respect for international law and treaty obligations. Now, this launch of the chip-embedded passports on Monday, is also both on Monday, the 28th of April, is both testaments that Ghana continued commitment to innovation in the security global state. Now, this was when it was launched. Today, the minister has actually, released the first copy of the passports, and the Chief of Staff, Julius Debra, happened to have been the first Ghanaian who received the chip-embedded passport. And so that's the updates that you should know. What's it called? The platform for it was actually launched in December 5, 2024. And the release of this chip-embedded passport started today with the Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, actually leading this policy implementation. Now, let's go on to the phone lines and speak with my colleague, Shadrach Odamie-Jare, who is also bringing us up to speed with the policy launched, a Jumera policy. A Jumera policy was launched by the government today. Shadrach Odamie-Jare is a presidential correspondent, and he's coming through with some updates. Shadrach, thank you for your time. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Annie.
If you can just go a little further from the microphone, I think you're a little loud and giving us feedback. So the Jumera policy, first of all, give us a brief. What exactly is the policy about?
Right, so the Jumera project or the Jumera program is part of a government initiative to bridge the unemployment gap in Ghana. So it is touted to help with at least 10,000 businesses annually. And we've seen the CODEX program, which was launched some weeks ago. And then we've also heard of the National Apprenticeship Program. And coming up now, the launch is supposed to start around 2 p.m. So that is joining the first two programs that have been launched to create jobs, especially for the Ghanaian youth. And this is part of the government of President John Dramani Mahama's 120 days 20 days promise to Ghanaians. And the party is expecting that with these programs launched, the unemployment gap is going to be bridged, or the unemployment rate, which keeps going up, is going to come down subsequently. And government has mentioned that this program is also going to be headed by the various ministries that are looking at jobs and then the youth employment. So we will have the likes of George Opariado, who is the Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment. We'll also have the likes of Malik Basintale, Youth Employment Agency, and also Rashid Pelpu, who is also at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. So all these ministries or all these government outfits are going to come together to ensure that this program sees fruition. And it is also to help with the youth get some requisite skills and resources to establish their own enterprises. So you will not have to wait for, it's not necessarily going to be like government is giving jobs straight to people in government agencies. But aside that, people can be equipped with skills, especially under the National Apprenticeship Program. People can be equipped with skills where you can have people applying trades like tailoring or dressmaking. You can have hairdressers, you can have welders. At least everybody knows that once I wake up in the morning, I have something doing that is fetching me some revenue. So the Ejumera project is also more like a twin program to the National Apprenticeship Program. And there's also going to be some certification and startup capital, which will be given to all these youth upon completion.
So Shadrach, you mentioned YEA as one of the agencies associated. Which other agency again? Because it still has to do with jobs, and I think most of the policies of the government is jobs focused. So which agency again is featured in this Ejumera policy that's been launched?
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, we have the ministry where George Opare Ado is heading. That's the Youth Development and Empowerment Ministry coming in to support. And then we have the Rashid Pelpo's ministry, that is the Job and Labor Relations. They are also coming in. So these three ministries will be very key from employment to youth employment agency and then to the Youth Development and Empowerment Ministry. They are coming together as three forces to spearhead the Ejumera project. And the NDC believes this youth-focused entrepreneurship interventions will contribute significantly to creating more new businesses annually and reduce the unemployment. And also, subsequently, we will now see people shifting from the white-collar jobs people have been chasing with envelopes around to focus on skill-based employment. And then the government also mentioned initiatives like the land bank system, where for those who want to go into farming, we've heard of the Nkukon Kitenkite program, which has to also do with poultry and then meat production and then poultry product production. So if anybody is about venturing into this kind of programs, say the Nkukon Kitenkite, or getting a land to cultivate any crop whatsoever, the land bank system is also available for people to reach out to the Agri and Lands Ministry, where they are going to be allocated some land so that they can also start up whatever business or whatever agri-field business they want to invest in. So, I mean, these are the three government agencies spearheading this project for now.
Shadrach, we have, like I earlier on said, most of the government policies are employment driven, and so a lot of people are looking for employment opportunities or job opportunities as far as these policies are concerned. If anyone is watching and is interested in this, how do they take advantage of this policy that has just been launched? What is the initiation process?
Right. So the Ejumera launch is about starting. So I am sure we will be bringing Ghanaians, viewers and listeners up to speed on how to get involved. Already, we have seen the National Apprenticeship Program that will be rolled out soon. We also saw the YEA and then the Employment Ministry launching the Working Abroad Program, which was led by Malik Basitali and Rashid Pelpo. So that is part of the more comes to augment the Ejumera project. And then I earlier mentioned the Codex program, where when you go online and you check for the Codex program, they also have avenues where you can register and then join that. But for the main Ejumera program launch, after the launch today, the details will now be made clear, will be laid bare, and then we are also going to feed our viewers and then listeners on it. It's about starting. The launch hasn't really started. So whatever the details are, more will be coming up after the launch. It's scheduled to start at 2 p.m. and it's about 10 minutes to the top of the hour too. So we are just looking forward to every other detail and every other information that will be given by authorities involved.
So the YEA has been making a lot of noise and giving us information about how they are trying to create jobs using private sector. It's largely private sector driven. Now, is this going to be government driven And must application go through YEA or Youth Development Empowerment, which is headed by George Opariado, or it should be going through the Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment?
Right. This is a very great question, but like I mentioned, we are yet to get the full details on what the application process will be like. However, it is not just a straight out government and employment to citizenry. It is a two-way collaboration. So both private agencies or the private sector is joining the public sector to create jobs for the Ghanaian youth. But as to who will be at the helm of registration or getting people on board, whether the registration is going to go straight out through the Employment Ministry or the Youth Development Ministry or the Youth Employment Agency, we are yet to find out. Else, there might be, we are only hoping for more of a generic website or a generic login where people can reach out and then get whatever information or be able to subscribe to the Ejumera program. However, for those who are also getting the skills training or skills and vocational training, there is going to be provision for that also. So maybe the person might not be tech savvy to go onto the tech platforms or the various websites that may be coming up to log on or to subscribe. There is going to be a manual registration in whatever outfit that will come out. So, like I mentioned, the program is about starting. All these details will be laid to bear once the launch is done. And once it is done, we will be giving our viewers the details, educating them on the details on how they are going to get their various fields or the various employment they are seeking out for, whether it's in the public space or in the private space.
Shada Kodami Ojari, thank you for the updates there, bringing us up to speed. So the Ejumera policy has been launched, and you may want to go through the YEA agency or the Youth Development Empowerment Ministry led by George Opariado. So just a brief about the Ejumera policy. Now, this policy, the government says that it was a proposed policy or program that aims to facilitate the creation of at least 10,000 businesses annually, with a special focus on empowering youth, unveiling the party's policy on the business development as in its manifesto on September 3, 2024. The NDC development spokesperson, Haja Sajida Shiraz, actually stated that the initiative will provide support for young entrepreneurs and will also implement the Ejumera program, a special business startups policy aimed at facilitating creation and tracking the mentoring of minimum and 10,000 business annually, with the special focus on young people, they said. So this policy definitely will have the interest of persons who are entrepreneurs and are showing interest in certain areas to create jobs. And there are some slides on your screen. It says that the Ejumera program will incubate and accelerate 10,000 businesses for Ghanaian youth annually. We have another one that says that the Ejumera program helping startups to develop and sustain their businesses. A Ejumera program will create at least 20,000 decent jobs annually. I don't know if this is the same as creating decent 10,000 jobs annually, because there's also the decent jobs of 10,000 and this one says 20,000. And this will mean that maybe my colleague will follow through and roll with the Ejumera program to benefit from business advisory services and mentorship. So maybe my colleague Akwesi Friye, who will take over tomorrow, may want to go into this and let us understand further, because that is our duty to give you the information. So those who are in charge are going to be the one that we'll be speaking with on this platform, just to come through with some more explanation for you to get exactly what the policy is about. And if you want to take advantage of it, definitely you take advantage as a Ghanaian. Well, time is up for us, and we'll wrap up the program here. This has been Good Afternoon Ghana. We spoke with various guests, starting with Jonathan Asante-Ochoa on the NPP Thank You Tours, a political analyst, and also Richard Anyagba, who is a communications director for the NPP, also joined us later to rebut some of the comments and also make his position known. My name is Ania Fampo. For this has been Good Afternoon Ghana. My colleague Dominic Ansapra was here to bring us the news updates. Thanks for watching. We're back tomorrow with the program.
The Ghana Celebrity Impact Awards, GCIA, is an annual award ceremony that recognizes and celebrates the outstanding contribution and impacts of Ghanaian individuals, corporate entities, and celebrities. It celebrates Ghanaian philanthropy, promotes social responsibility, empower youth and community development, and celebrate achievements in giving back to society, thereby fostering national pride and unity. Here are the nominees for the Most Impactful Ghanaian Award 2024. Ibrahim Mahama, Engineers and Planners. Patricia Poku Diaby, Plot Enterprise. Dr. Gifty Akushika Lamte, Sedalco Group. Dr. Osei Kwame Despite Group. Samuel Amotobin, Tobinco Group. Kevin Autry, Springfield Group. To vote for the Most Impactful Ghanaian 2024, go to www.GhanaCelebrityImpactAwards.com. For enquiries and table reservations, call 053-755-0058 or 053-753-5390. The Ghana Celebrity Impact Awards is brought to you by Visa King, GCIA, celebrating the spirit of giving back.
Hi viewers, current affairs, history, English, sports and more. Introducing the Metro King Show. Ghana took its name from the Ghana Empire, an ancient empire that inhabited nearly land centuries ago. What does the word Ghana mean?
Old Ghana.
That's wrong. Samuel, what's your answer?
Beland.
That's also wrong. In which region of Ghana is Huni Valley located?
Western region.
More mumu for your pockets. Come on. What does Accra mean?
Accra means ant.
Ant. Correct answer. Over to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Metro Quiz Show.
Last season, we brought you the hottest trending music videos, insightful interviews with your favorite celebrities and some dance moves.
We also got your favorite celebrity talking about their deep, goofy and interesting sides you and I can see on cameras and social media.
But hold up, this season we are bringing you a whole new different vibe. Spanking new videos, top 5 countdown, and the all-new segment dubbed MVC Experience, where we bring you close to music, fun, and more interesting vibes.
Join the vibe this and every Saturday on Metro Television.
Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles, MVC Official TV.
Wakwaba, Sabre Original Television, so and our Nikua Ushi. And my catcher say, and then Madu Mediano, yet they are fun another level. And Nasrum could you medie, and original television, ye be pahuntuma. Now, who fear now, who shame me, now your bat and I and Nanquadia, me mau and Nasrum kodapa. I we and Nasrum, is answer meaning brow bray and sawoma. But a day to say no, yin to me any and none fee. Bra ye re fi ye CEO a ye ra Araba Sian a Japan. Baby I will be I am a happy Mother's Day. Sana ye penny for ye new ye jumeni nara or mo ye no so ye